welcome back, and we're going to continue with our continuation of this part. In this one we're going to be creating an Inventor, but first, before we get started, I'd like to thank all my new subscribers who are coming in and constantly coming back and checking. Thank you very much for subscribing and keeping in tune, and I'll try my best to put out more videos. And if there's something that you would like to see me do, please don't hesitate in giving me a message, and I'll try my best to make a video for that. Okay, so enough explaining about this one. I think we've seen it both in AutoCAD in both different ways. Let's take a look at how to do this in Inventor. So once you have Inventor open up, and once again, this display screen can be in different ways. Let's first go ahead and click the New button here at the top. And that's going to bring open the dialog box to create a new file. And then I'll make sure that I'm selecting the English US or whatever language you have yours on. This is a metric drawing, so that's why the metric folder is highlighted. And then I'm going to double click on the standard millimeter IPT. So once I do that, you're going to give it a little bit of time, and you can see here at the bottom, Inventor is loading some of the other programs that you might be creating in here. And then the ribbon is going to change, and some other things is going to change, and you should look like, and I'm kind of giving it a little bit more, and it's going to pop up here in a second. And when it's ready to go, you should have your ribbon changed here at the top. We have our view cube here in the corner, and we have our browser tree here on the side. Alright, so let's go ahead and create this part. Now once again, when I hit the new sketch and I'm selecting this top icon here, it's going to give me the views. I always try to associate how I'm going to create this with the right orientation. So if I want to do or start on my front view, I'm going to select the XY plane. And in this case, I'm going to select the YZ plane because that's going to give me my right side view. Because I'm going to start on this side of this part. Therefore, that's why I'm going to pick that YZ plane. So I'm going to draw this face and extrude it through, and that should help me accelerate this part rather quickly. So just knowing which view to start on first and how to orient this will help you out tremendously. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and select that plane, and you're going to give it a second, and Inventor should spin around and orient the YZ plane to the correct orientation of which you want to create. Another thing that you want to always take a look at is make sure that your view cube, that the word right is in the correct orientation. Sometimes this may come in upside down or rotated 90 degrees in either direction. And if that's the case, just use these two buttons here to rotate it to the right orientation. Okay, so unlike AutoCAD, I'm just going to kind of freehand sketch this. I'm going to start with the line command. And I'm going to kind of create this shape a little bit. I'm trying to make sure that I keep my horizontal, and you can see that it's giving me that icon. So I'll click here. I'm going to go up, click here, cross, here. And then I want these two to be in line with each other, so therefore it's tracking that straight line there. If you didn't want that to happen, you can come down a little bit. But in this case, we do want it to happen, so I will left click, bring it back here, go up. And I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping all my orthogonal views, or my lines, straight with each other. Now this one, I want to make sure I go past it, so make sure you do not stop at this point here where the line intersects. And also you want to stay away from the midpoint. And that's going to be this dotted line that's going to appear. So if you can stay away from both of those, you'll get yourself a little bit more control. So I'm going to click here. Once again, I'm trying to make sure I keep these lines straight, so I'll click here. Come all the way back to here, and then I'm coming down to here. And once I click on this first starting point, it should end the command for me. Go ahead and hit the escape button, because it's waiting on you to click another place. Now if you have the shape drawing, what I usually try to do is start with my largest dimension, or actually I usually start with, if I have some of these lines that are not horizontal or vertical, I'll go ahead and make those. And I can put some like equal constraints and things of that nature on it to help things out. But in this case, I think I did a really good job of keeping everything straight. So therefore, I'm going to start by creating a dimension. on this back line here. Now once again, try to stay away from the midpoint or these endpoints because it's one continuous line. So therefore, I don't have to pick both of the endpoints. I can just select on the line. So I left click on the line and I come back here and I place it. The first dimension that you create is going to be the scale dimension. So once I type in 80 here, your part should scale to that one. So your first dimension should be your biggest one because that'll give you your overall scale. Let's go ahead and keep creating our dimensions. So here along the top, it's going to be 44. This one is going to be 45. All right, so this dimension is 30. And now you can see we kind of ran into something that's a little bit different. So I'm going to escape out of my command, and I'm just going to left click and hold and drag this back behind here. All right, so once I have that done, now I can come back to continuing my dimensioning. So I'll put a dimension here. This is going to be 35. And it looks like it was already smart enough to figure that out. So that's why I'm getting the message. And I probably should have seen that because I have a 80 here and I have this distance. So this dimension minus this dimension should give me that one. All right. So therefore, I'll keep continuing with another dimension. I'll put a dimension on here, which will be 12. And then I'll put a dimension on here, which is going to be 50. And it's going to give me that error thing again if I try to put another dimension here. So if I go to put a dimension here, it's already reading 12. And once I hit the left click button, it's going to give me that error again. So I'll go ahead and hit cancel on that. And it's asking you, do you want to put a driven dimension? I just usually cancel that. And now you can see my shape is almost fully constrained. I have a few things that I have, and usually I look to the bottom here and tell me how many more dimensions I need. All right, so I can kind of left click, and I'm left clicking on an endpoint and just dragging this around. And you can see that that's kind of the freedom that I have with this part right now. All right, another thing that might need is that I need to make sure that this dimension, which I don't have, I need to go ahead and place in. So I'll go to dimension, click on this line here, click 10, and now I have 2 dimensions needed. And that's what I ideally try to get to, because the last 2 dimensions you're going to need is going to be in reference to your center point here. So let's go ahead and put a dimension from this line here to that yellow dot, or whatever color yours is, and I'm just going to left click and place this. And when I have the edit dimension up, I'll go ahead and click on the 80, and then go divided by 2. Once I hit enter, you're going to see that now this is a function of this one. So if this number ever changes, it's going to always keep this centered. All right. Now here's another one of those things that you can kind of figure out how you want to do this next part here, is that I have 2 dimensions here that gives me the total length of here. And I want this to stay right in the center of this no matter what. So I'm going to go back to the dimension. I'm going to click this line here, and then this line. I'll go ahead and place that dimension. And I'm going to say this dimension plus this dimension. So I have D3 plus D1, and yours may be numbered different. And this time I'm just going to put a parenthesis in the front and in the back of my equation, just so I don't have any kind of confusing things. I want these 2 numbers added, and then I'm going to divide it by 2. So it's able to figure that out. And once I hit the check mark here, it's going to make sure that that stays centered. So no matter which one of these numbers change, it's going to always keep my part centered. If I look down at the bottom, it says it's fully constrained. Go ahead and go to finish sketch. And now this is another one of those things I wish it would kind of zoom out and fit it in. So I'm just going to scroll back a little bit just so I can see it. Go to extrude. It can figure out the sketch, and it says, oh, great. I have everything I need to do this. Let's go ahead and send it in both directions just so we keep it in the middle. And then the overall distance of this one is 125. Go ahead and hit the OK button. Next, I'm going to select this top face. Then I'll select this icon here. And it's the one with the little plus underneath it. And it's going to tell you to create a sketch. Once I do that, it's going to highlight and rotate it. Let's go ahead and create a rectangle somewhere on the inside of here. Let's go ahead and put our dimensions on our rectangle. We know that this distance here is 24. And we know that this distance here is 75. Alright, so now we have some other options that we can do to make sure we keep this thing straight. So I want this midpoint to be in line with this point. And I can use that. Sometimes you don't know which one of these are correct, right? I have a horizontal and I have a vertical option. I see the words top and it's rotated to the side. If I flip this around and rotate this straight up, so yours may have been straight or not, but I'm going to choose one of these, and ideally I think it should be the vertical constraint. So I'm going to go to vertical, and you can see that I'm getting a dotted line that's going vertical, so that tells me that I'm in the right orientation and everything is going correctly. If I didn't, I would just select horizontal, and then that would be my dimension. But in this case, vertical was the right one. I'm going to go ahead and select my center point here, and then I'm going to find that green dot on this line. So once I do a left click on that one, now those two are in line with each other. One other thing that I'm going to do is that I want, and I'm hitting escape, I want this edge here to be on that edge. So I'm just going to tell those two to be collinear. So I'll select collinear, select this line here, and then this edge, and my part should go down to it. I'll hit the escape button, and if I look down at the bottom, it says it's fully constrained. I'll go ahead and finish sketch. Inventor rotates around, and now when I go to extrude, it should be able to find the sketch that I want to extrude. I just need to tell it which direction and how far to go. So I'm going to tell it to go down this direction, and I'm going to tell it that the distance that it needs to go is 30. Once I hit the OK button, and you can also see one other thing, it automatically switched to a subtraction because that's what it assumed that I want to do. Once I hit OK, it should subtract out of my part, and I'm going to do this one more time here. So I'm going to select this face, this icon. It's going to rotate around once again. I like working with the word top, or these are the words in the correct orientation. Let's go ahead and place our rectangle. Go it across here. Let's go ahead and put our dimensions on our rectangle. It's going to be 75 again. And then the height of this one is going to be all the way back. So I need the total distance between here and here. If you remember from the drawing, that number should be 30. Okay, I'll hit the escape button, and some of the same principles apply here. So if I want to find the center point here, and if sometimes you can't see it, and mine is yellow for some strange reason, I'm going to expand the orientation here, and that center point is located there. So that kind of told me where my center point, which is here. I'll choose the vertical option again. And if I can't see it in here, I can always physically select it here. So I'm going to go that center point to this midpoint, and it's going to also click it over. So you don't have to pick it graphically. Sometimes you can pick it in the browser. And then I want this line and this line to be collinear. So I'll go ahead and add that constraint again. So collinear, this line here, this line comes down, finish sketch, extrude. Once again, it's going to select my part, and it assumes that I want to create it or add to it. I'm going to reverse the direction, so it's cutting through it, and then I'm going to tell it go through all of it, and hit OK. Alright, and that's the end of this part, and it's just, sometimes you just gotta kind of figure out the orientation or how you want to create this. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you enjoy seeing these type of things, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching, and I enjoy it. Alright, I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.